Reading this chapter of Berserk is like walking down memory lane. When I saw the flashbacks with Farnese and Shotake just walking, and you see the different pieces of Casca just fitting into place, and with each piece you see these flashbacks to events in the golden age of Berserk, all I could imagine was, holy crap, if I feel this way, if I feel this nostalgic, reading this chapter, thinking back at everything that has already happened in the past, and when I was doing my, weekly Berserk review, volume review, I remember just getting so emotional, and then when I saw this, I'm like, oh man, like, it just brings back all those memories, regardless of how many times I have reread Berserk, because I've reread it quite a bit, because I love Berserk. It's my favorite manga of all time. I have made this very clear many times in the past. I just can't imagine how the long-term fans that have been with this series for 10 years to 20 years, I can't even imagine how they feel when they see an entire chapter dedicated to the early events of Berserk. The scenes to which started it all, what made everybody fall in love with our characters, and what set up for Volume 13, which is the Eclipse. So, it seems like next chapter, there's going to be a lot. I mean, we're probably going to be getting, our God Hand in next chapter. So, probably some serious stuff's going to go down. And I just can't believe that we're finally getting this. And the way the pacing is as well is just really shocking. I want to take a few moments to talk about that for a second. So, has anyone else noticed that the pacing of this chapter is very, very quick? Like, I expected, Kintaro-sensei to actually spend quite a bit of time in this, overall flashback arc, I guess we're getting right now. I figured it was going to take a little bit and all that. It was going to probably be about maybe 15 chapters, 10 chapters, a good little bit of time. It wasn't going to be settled maybe in 3 chapters, but the way it's looking like it might complete next chapter or the chapter after that, depending on how far the events go. So when you look at this, I'm like, holy crap, the pacing of this chapter is pretty fast. Like, it's not bad. Like, I just want to do an FYI real quick. The pacing of the chapter, even though it's fast, it's not bad. And in fact, I'm actually very happy it's kind of fast. Now, I do want to see the emotions from Shotake and Farnese and how they feel about what's going on with Casca, how Guts felt as well. I want them to understand. And I don't want everything skipped. However, the way the chapter was handled, the pacing of it was very nice. And I guess this is to be expected when, Kintaro is just such an amazing writer. One of the best writers I've ever seen when it comes to manga. So it's to be expected he could handle pacing, even if it's a little bit fast. He can handle pacing properly because he's shown time and time again he knows how to write Berserk. So, I guess I shouldn't have doubted it. It surprised me because of the recent arcs of Berserk. Let's talk about the boat, okay, for a second. The sea god or whatever. All those arcs that I was reviewing before I started doing the individual chapter reviews, I remember that honestly, the pacing slowed down quite a bit. And I didn't personally have a problem with it. Even after I caught up and was waiting on the chapters to come out, I personally didn't have a problem with it. Because I love the writing of Berserk, and I knew that the slow pacing was for the greatness to come. I always knew this when I was, catching up, and then when I did catch up. And so I didn't personally have a problem with it. I know many did. However, with this, I do like the difference, though. There is a drastic difference. I do like the difference of how Kintaro is trying to finally get these events settled. Because, let's think about it. I think Berserk has been going on for like 15, 20 years. It's been a long time. I know it's been going in like the 1990s or whatever. It's old. It's a really old series. It might have been in even the 1980s. I have no idea. I don't know the exact date when Berserk, actually started. But it's an old series. A very old series. And after all of this time, after so many years, like a decade plus, we've been waiting for Casca to, have her memories restored. That's kind of been the objective, and after all of this time, it's in reach. It's going to happen in a couple of months. Literally in a couple of months, we are probably going to see Casca either regain her memory or something really bad is going to happen. But we're at that point to where it's going to happen, which is just absolutely amazing. Can you believe we're actually seeing this happen right now? After all of this build-up, after all of these chapters, after 38 plus volumes of Berserk, it is finally happening. that is truly amazing, and it's truly a time to smile and be happy that Berserk is coming out and Kintaro's putting in that, quality writing. So, yeah, now that I've talked about that, though, and the pacing did speed up, and I do like how we're getting this closer to conclusion. There was a lot of callbacks, and like I already previously stated in this video, it was a flashback, chapter. It made me feel very nostalgic, and that's kind of what this arc is about. However, it wasn't just, flashbacks that were in your face. There was very subtle flashbacks that you would only understand if you have reread Berserk quite a bit, or you vividly remember the eclipse. And the eclipse is probably one of the most fucked up parts I have ever seen in any manga. I have never truly saw something more fucked up than the eclipse. Not just because of the Casca scene, what happened to Casca, but just the overall meaning behind it, and not just what happened to her and Guts, but every character that was a part of that. It was just brutal, savage, and on so many levels of fucked. It just is like, bruh, like, Kintaro, what were you in when you were writing that? Like, just... that's some demented stuff right there. And with all of this, I have had to reread that a couple times to kind of get more meaning from that. And there was some hints, I assume to be hints, at some of the Eclipse events. Let's talk about, like, the tentacle-type monsters we saw in the background, or this weird, like, hairball spider things popping up with all these tentacles and stuff. Basically, all these creatures that they saw, these, like, shadow creatures when they were trying to regain Casca's memories, they are very, very eerily similar to some of the demons, the apostles, that attacked Casca and, all of her friends and all that. And I think his name is, Judo, I think that's how you pronounce it, Judo or Judao. I forget exactly how to pronounce it, because, yeah, forgive me if I, mispronounce that. But, as we know, Judo or Judao, he had quite a tragic ending as well, the way he died. And we see a creature that looks very similar to a creature that attacked him, that killed him. And there's other creatures as well, like tentacles and stuff, like, the tentacles that grabbed Casca, and then, Casca got held down, and then, we know what, Griffith did, he raped Casca. So, because of this, there is a lot of things, these shadow creatures, that look eerily similar to some of the things that happened to Casca, what she saw happen to the people around her. And I guess it makes sense when you think about it. I mean, we do know that it wasn't just Griffith that raped Casca. We know for a fact. It was definitely much more than that, because we have seen glimpses throughout the journey of Berserk, not just in the Eclipse, but other portions of Berserk when we have callbacks or whatever. We have seen it to where Casca was already kind of getting raped by demons before Griffith even got there, and that's what we could assume what's actually happened, which makes the Eclipse really fucked up. So it wasn't just Griffith, but it was also the demons as well. And so when you wrap all of this up, you're like, oh god, like that's messed up, and it explains why some of these creatures look like that, and why, Farnese and Shirkei don't understand, but they will eventually, once they finally see the Eclipse. They'll realize the trauma that Casca has been through. But, one of the things I do want to talk about is the fact that Casca's doll-like form is missing 3 important parts of her body. If you get a quick glimpse, I think it's like page 15, 16 or whatever, you get to see an overview of Casca's body, like the doll body. And you see to where the heart is missing right here on the left breast, and then you also have it to where the head is missing, like where the cranium is, or the brain, and then you have to where, like, the womb would be, where, a stomach, or, your baby, if you had a baby. You see these 3 important pieces missing from Casca's doll, and it makes a lot of sense if you know about Casca's character. For instance, number 1, let's look at the head. The head is fucked up because of what happened in the Eclipse. Griffith just took her sanity, and when she saw, Griffith raping her, but then also saw the man she loved, Guts, tearing off his own arm and all that to get over to you, obviously that just destroyed her mind. So the mind, the broken mind, is like, the Eclipse piece. The overall stomach part, where the womb would be, that is, the baby, the child that she had with Guts and they lost. That is also something that obviously would wound her quite a bit. And then the heart, this one is kind of complicated. I don't know exactly how to interpret this one, because the ending portion of the chapter with the little mini Casca talking, she talks about she wants to see someone, and it's not clarified who. There's a lot of things you can assume, like it could either have been Guts or Griffith. We have no idea, but I feel like both of these two have a big role on the heart piece that Casca is currently missing. Number 1, what I think that the heart piece represents is Guts and, Casca's love. That's a number 1 thing right there. For instance, Guts and Casca having that relationship, having sex, and eventually, we knew she had a baby, and we know what happened to the baby thanks to Griffith. But basically, though, I feel like the heart represents Guts, basically walking off with the abandonment, like he was just gonna leave while Casca was already pregnant. And also represents Griffith as well. For instance, Griffith, doing what he did to Casca. I feel like the heart represents both Guts and Griffith. And that's kind of what that's going to be, why that part is missing, and why it's so important, one of the final pieces to the eclipse, where they're going right now at the end of the chapter. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how Farnese and Shurikei kind of feel about, what happens. Because, there's a very likely possibility that Shurikei or Farnese might get mind-fucked because of what's about to happen. If they're going to relive the emotions Casca felt, feel it, they're gonna get that intensity she felt. So it makes you wonder, will one of them go brain dead because of what they're about to see? And that's something I'm really curious about, if that will happen. But one of the things too, though, that needs to be talked about is it's a very funny scene. It's Shurikei when it came to the sex scene. When, Guts and Casca, they were having sex, they got to see that memory. Obviously, that was a very important part to Casca and Guts' relationship. Well, that part pops up, and Farnese obviously gets to see it, and then, Shurikei gets to see it as well. Basically, Farnese grabs, Shurikei's eyes, and is like, you can't see this and all that. It's like, I want to see it for research purposes. I'm like, oh my god, that's a freaking meme! That's a meme, for science! That is a freaking meme! I don't know if that was actually a direct translation, or if that was thrown in there as a gag or something for, jokes and giggles. I've seen that before. I've seen it to where, mangaka do throw in, actual memes into their series, which I don't know. Like I said, it comes down to the translation. I don't know if that was the official translation, or if that was just a joke translation. Regardless, though, I got a good chuckle from that, just seeing Farnese say something like that, and the way she acted about it, that was great. But besides all of the comedy, though, there's something very important we got to take out of that scene, and it's something I have been talking about quite a bit, and that is the fact that Farnese is a wild card here. She is a wild card in this flashback arc and what could possibly happen. We know that Farnese has feelings for Guts. I've talked about this extensively. She has a lot of feelings for him. But because of that, we know that there might be jealousy. We have seen her past. And what would happen when Casca regains her memories, and then obviously Guts loves Casca? How is she going to feel about that? Is she going to go completely crazy yandere mode, or is she going to just sit back and ignore it? I have a lot of questions. We even had a panel in the chapter with Shurikei kind of looking down and ignoring what Farnese was saying. So it makes you really wonder if, Shurikei understands what Farnese is currently thinking or how she feels, and I wonder if Farnese is going to pull something in the future. Maybe not in this flashback arc, but she might pull something very soon because of her feelings towards Guts. That, like I said, is a very big wild card we cannot just throw off the table. It is something very important and something we cannot forget about, because that is definitely going to be a key plot point of the future. We still don't even know what, the Behemoth's going to be capable of, who it really is for. We don't know if it's for Guts, or if it's for someone else in his party. We still have no idea. So because of that, there is still a possibility someone in Guts' party could grab it, become an apostle, sacrifice everyone. Think about it. So yeah, there is a lot of things that could happen here, and I feel like Farnese is someone we just cannot forget about. We gotta remember how important she is, and also who she used to be. Now, like I said, I don't want to throw aside Farnese's character development. She's went through so much development. She is not the same person she once was when we first met her. I won't even deny that, okay? I know she's went through a lot of development. However, things can happen, and we do know that desire is in her, and love is a very, very scary desire, especially in Berserk. We have seen firsthand what some of these natural and kind emotions can do to people. We have seen this, so who knows. But another thing I do want to kind of discuss is the fact that it's all beginning next chapter. Basically, with the conclusion, with them wandering towards this eerie peak, we know that's where the eclipse is. It's gonna happen. And it seems like a lot of stuff is gonna go down in the next chapter, and I'm kind of scared. These past few chapters have kind of been happy, nostalgic, And if that's anything to go by when it comes to Kentaro's writing, we should expect the worst. We should expect something really bad to happen, and I feel like that's what will happen, because, I mean, he's going back to the Golden Age type stuff, you know, making us remember the Golden Age. And then you gotta remember, if he's making us remember the Golden Age, obviously he's gonna make us also remember what happened after the Golden Age, the eclipse. So, that's looking like a possibility, like something heinous is about to happen. We'll see. Anyways, that's it. So tell me your thoughts about this month's chapter of Berserk. I love you all so much. Thank you once again for sitting down and listening to me talk about Berserk. It's very fun. And as I said, this is a wonderful series, my favorite series really to talk about. Like, it's this and Hunter x Hunter I really love talking about, along with Tokyo Ghoul. Those are like my personal big three. And so I'm glad that next month I'm actually going to be able to do that. I mean, think about it. Next month, Hunter x Hunter comes back June 26th. We might get it a couple days early. Berserk as well comes out next month because it's been confirmed for a new chapter. So we'll have Berserk, Hunter x Hunter, and Tokyo Ghoul all at the same time next month. Oh my god. Just think about that. Oh my god. Like, that's nice. That's nice. That makes me happy. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.